A man walks into a shop and sees a cute little dog. He asks the shopkeeper, "Does your dog bite?" The shopkeeper says, "No, my dog does not bite." The man tries to pet the dog, and the dog bites him. "Ouch," he says, "I thought you said your dog does not bite." The shopkeeper replies, "That is not my dog." 1. A truck driver is driving 200 penguins to London Zoo when his truck breaks down on the motorway. The driver gets out of the cab and looks at the engine when a second truck driver stops in front of him and asks if he needs help. The penguins driver explains that he is taking the penguins to the zoo and asks if the other man would take the penguins there. He agrees. Some hours later, the second truck driver drives past the first one, who is still waiting on the highway. The penguins are still on the truck and look happy. "I thought I asked you to take those penguins to the zoo," shouted the first driver. The second replied, "I did, but I had some money left, so we're going to the cinema now." 2. Two rednecks are out hunting, and as they're walking along, they come upon a huge hole in the ground. They approach it and are amazed by the size of it. The first hunter says, "Wow, that's some hole. I can't even see the bottom. I wonder how deep it is." The second hunter says, "I don't know. Let's throw something down and listen and see how long it takes to hit bottom." The first hunter says, "There's an old gearbox over there. Give me a hand and we'll throw it in and see." So they pick it up and carry it over and count 1 and 2 and 3 and throw it in the hole. They are standing there listening and looking over the edge, and they hear a rustling in the brush behind them. As they turn around, they see a goat come crashing through the brush, run up to the hole with no hesitation, and jump in head first. While they are standing there looking at each other, then gazing into the hole and trying to figure out what that was all about, an old farmer walks up. "Say there," says the farmer. "You fellers didn't happen to see my goat around here anywhere, did you?" The first hunter says, "Funny you should ask. But we were just standing here a minute ago, and a goat came running out of the bushes, doing about 100 miles an hour, and jumped headfirst into this hole here." And the old farmer said, "Why, that's impossible. I had him chained to an old gearbox." 3. A repeat joke, but worth it. 2 drunken Irishmen in a graveyard. Paddy starts reading the gravestones. "Mick," he says, "would you look at this? A feller here who was 90 when he died." "Who's that?" says Mick. "Somebody called O'Toole from Kerry," he replies. Mick says, "Never mind him. There's a feller here called Murphy was 99 when he died, from Castletown of all places." "Well, that's nothing," says Paddy. "What about what written on this feller's stone here right beside the gate?" "The stone says a 147. 147? That's amazing," says Mick. "Who was he?" "Well, according to the stone, it's somebody called Miles from Dublin. It's an Selwyn and 4. One day, a student was taking a very difficult essay exam. At the end of the test, the professor asked all the students to put their pencils down and immediately hand in their tests. The young man kept writing furiously, although he was warned that if he did not stop immediately, he would be disqualified. He ignored the warning, finished the test 10 minutes later, and went to hand the test to his instructor. The instructor told him he would not take the test. The student asked, "Do you know who I am?" The professor said, "No, and I don't care." The student asked again, "Are you sure you don't know who I am?" The professor again said no. So the student walked over to the pile of tests, placed his in the middle, then threw the papers in the air. "Good," the student said and walked out. He passed. 5. James was walking down the road one morning when he met his friend Danny. "Morning, Danny. Danny, you're wearing a glove on one hand and none on the other. Did you know?" Yes, well, I heard the weather forecast this morning, you see. The weather forecast? Yes, the weather forecast. The forecaster said on the one hand it might be fine, but on the other hand there might be some rain. 6. When a very tired man got on a crowded bus one afternoon, he could not find an empty seat. A small dog was sitting on one seat, so he asked the lady with the dog to put the dog on her lap. The lady refused, and they got into a big argument. Finally, the driver stopped the bus and told the lady to put the dog on her lap. When the man sat down, he took a pickle out of his pocket and began noisily it. When the lady told him the sound and smell was irritating, he told her she should have thought about being nice when he had asked her to move the dog. They began another argument, and the lady threw the pickle out the window. The man then threw the dog out the window. Just then the bus stopped, and the dog got in line to get back on. Guess what the dog had in its mouth? The brick. 7. A frustrated wife goes to the doctor. Doctor, you have to help me. I've been married 30 years to my husband, and I feel he's lost all interest in me. You know, physically speaking. He barely looks at me, let alone have with me. Oh, I really miss the good old times where we had wonderful times a week. There must be something you can do to help me. Well, it's not very ethical, but there's this experimental drug we need to test, the doctor says, taking a vial from a drawer. This is a very potent. Just one drop in a glass of water is enough to awaken the libido of a dying man. When you feel it's a special night and you want to have time with your husband, try and pour one drop in his glass, and I can guarantee that you will see a new life in him. Oh, thank you, doctor. Thank you so much. Tomorrow it's our anniversary. What better night to try it out? 2 days pass. The morning after the fated night, the woman goes back to the doctor. She appears disheveled, barely being able to walk. What happened? Asks the doctor, visibly worried. Oh, doctor, I feel so sad. Yesterday, while we were having dinner, I waited for him to go to the toilet and, as you suggested, I hastily poured one drop of the drug in his water glass. But then I thought, what if this is not enough? It's been a long time since he's shown any passion towards me, so I poured another drop. Wait, 2 drops? But it's dangerous. We don't know what can happen if more than 1 drop is used. But then I felt so insecure. What if he doesn't like my body anymore? Is 2 drops really enough? I panicked, and I emptied the whole vial in the glass of water. He came back from the toilet, sat down and took a good sip from the glass. He froze, eyes wide. The glass fell from his hand. He stared at me like a predator stares at its prey. Then it happened. Violently threw away everything that was on the table, snorting and roaring. Aziz slammed me on the bare table, tore my clothes as well as his, and proceeded to have his way with me, making animal sounds I had never heard him make. I'm so sorry for you. It must have been terrible. Oh, no, doctor. It was the best time I've ever had in 30 years of marriage. Wait, you enjoyed it? Then why did you say you were sad? Well, it was our favorite restaurant. I doubt we'll be able to show our faces again there. A man goes to the track and bets $2 on a long shot and wins $18. So he puts that 18 in the second race and wins again $120. Again, he puts it all on a long shot in the third race and again wins $770. He keeps doing this for each race, and finally on the last race, he puts his entire winnings so far. The crowds are all around him watching this race because at 8-1 odds he can win 402 and they're off. Everybody is cheering and urging on the horse, who seems to slide back a bit and comes in last. Everybody is so disappointed. A truly exciting day. The man goes home, and his friend asks him how'd he do at the truck. He answers, "I lost $2. 9. A father puts his 3-year-old daughter to bed, tells her a story, and listens to her prayers, which she ends by saying, "God bless Mommy, God bless Daddy, God bless Grandma, and goodbye, Grandpa." The father asks, "Why did you say goodbye, Grandpa?" The little girl said, "I don't know, Daddy. It just seemed like the thing to do." The next day, Grandpa died. The father thought it was a strange coincidence. A few months later, the father put the girl to bed and listened to her prayers, which went like this: "God bless Mommy, God bless Daddy, and goodbye, Grandma." The next day, the grandmother died. "Holy crap," thought the father. "This kid is in contact with the other side." Several weeks later, when the girl was going to bed, the dad heard her say, "God bless Mommy and goodbye, Daddy." He practically went into shock. He couldn't sleep all night and got up at the crack of dawn to go to his office. He was nervous as a cat all day, had lunch, and watched the clock. He figured if he could get by until midnight, he would be okay. He felt safe in the office, so instead of going home at the end of the day, he stayed there, drinking coffee, looking at his watch and jumping at every sound. Finally, midnight arrived. He breathed a sigh of relief and went home. When he got home, his wife said, "I've never seen you work so late. What's the matter?" He said, "I don't want to talk about it. I've just spent the worst day of my life." She said, "You think you had a bad day? You'll never believe what happened to me. This morning, my boss died in the middle of a meeting.